Om Ajnana-Timirandasya Jnana Chakshurumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Vadutare Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Vibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Continue reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 11, Dhyan Yoga, text 11 to 12. Shocho deshe pratisthapya
Saucho deshte pratisthapya
tiram asanam atmanam
tiram asanam atmana
nati uchritam nati nicham
nati uchritam necham
shaila jina kushotaram
kelajina kushotaram
tatraikagram manakritva
tatrikagram mana kritva
yata chitendriya kriya
yata chitendriya kriya
upavishyasane yunjyat
upavisyasane yunjyat
yogam atma vishuddhaye.
yoga atma vishuddhaye. I'll read.
Please.
Translation. To practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place and should lay kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth. The seats should be neither too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses, and activities and fixing the mind on one point. Sacred place refers to the places of pilgrimage. In India, the yogis, the transcendentalists, or the devotees all leave home and reside in sacred places such as Prayag, Mathura, Vrindavan, Rishikesh, and Haridwar, and in solitude practice yoga, where the sacred rivers like the Yamuna and the Ganges flow. But often this is not possible, especially for the Westerners. The so called yoga societies in big cities may be successful in earning material benefit, but they are not at all suitable for the actual practice of yoga. One who is not self controlled and whose mind is not undisturbed cannot practice meditation. Therefore, in the Naradya Purana, it is said that in Kali Yuga, the present yuga or age, when people in general are short-lived, slow in spiritual realization, and always disturbed by various anxieties, the best means of spiritual realization is chanting the holy name of the Lord. Harer Nama, Harer Nama eva kevalam, Kalao Nashti eva gatir anyatha. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way.
So Krishna is saying, how one has to do the yoga, meditation. Because we think that, oh, meditation I can do in the house, in the city. But no, Krishna is saying you have to go to a secluded place, go to a place of pilgrimage, not living in a big city because there's so much distraction here. So how are you going to control the mind? And then he's saying that, oh, you have to put it on the kusha grass, get a proper asana, not too low, not too high, kusha grass and deer skin and soft cloth. So he's being so specific of how meditation has to be done. You go to a place of pilgrimage, and then over there, the process why you do the yoga? To control the mind and senses. So Prabhupada is saying it's not like how in modern society, we have some kind of yoga societies and cities and uh, saying, okay, you can meditate on anything or anyone or anyhow. No, it's very specific. So in Kali Yuga, it's not feasible for us to accept to rather get perfection by performing this kind of yoga. Because if we are doing something, we should be able to get the result of it. But the yoga practice that we are doing in the cities is not going to give us the result. And in Kali Yuga, the scriptures say that if we want spiritual realization, we want self realization, God realization, then chant the holy name. Brihadaranyaka Purana, Prabhupada is quoting here from Brihadaranyaka Purana. Hare Nam, Hare Nam eva kevalam, kalo nasteva, nasteva gatiranya. This age of Kali is called the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. On small things we can fight. And the only means of deliverance, the scriptures are saying, is chanting the holy name. And then we may say, well, maybe I can do this. And so it says there's no other way. Then we may say, oh, but maybe I can do that. And then again, the verse repeats, there's no other way. Then we may say, let me find out another way, Y'all don't know, I know a way up. Then again, it says there's no other way. So it's not that there's no other way is mentioned because there is an error or something, no, but for emphasis, because we may try to think, oh, there's a other process for me for deliverance in this age of Kali. But here, the Brihadaranyaka Purana is saying there is no other way, no other way, no other way. So means it's so important for us to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. If we at all want spiritual perfection. So this is what we can do. We can't do the meditation process that is being described, but our meditation can be on Krishna, hearing and chanting. That is samadhi when the mind is fixed on Krishna. Samam kaya shiro grivam
Samam kaya shirogrivam
dharayan achalam sthira
dharayam achalam stira
samprekshya nasikagram swam
sampreksya nashikagram swam
dishashchanavalokayan
dishashchanavalokayam
prashantatma vigatabhir
prashannatatma vigatabhir
brahmachari vrate sthita
brahmachari vrite tata rate tata
manas samyamya chitto
mana samyamya makchitto
yukta asita matpara.
yukta asita matpara. Translation: one should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. The goal of life is to know Krishna, who is situated within the heart of every living being as Paramatma, the four-handed Vishnu form. The yoga process is practiced in order to discover and see this localized form of Vishnu and not for any other purpose. The localized Vishnu Murti is a plenary representation of Krishna dwelling within one's heart. One who has no program to realize this Vishnu Murti is uselessly engaged in mock yoga practice and is certainly wasting his time. Krishna is the ultimate goal of life, and the Vishnu Murti situated in one's heart is the object of yoga practice. To realize this Vishnumurti within the heart, one has to observe complete abstinence from sex life. Therefore, one has to leave home and live alone in a secluded place, remaining seated as mentioned above. One cannot enjoy sex life daily at home or elsewhere and attend a so called yoga class and thus become a yogi. One has to practice controlling the mind and avoiding all kinds of sense gratification, of which sex life is the chief. In the rules of celibacy written by the great sage Yajna Valkaya, it is said, Karmana Manasya Vaka Sarva Vastasu Sarvada Sarvat Sarvatra Maithuna Tyago Brahmacharyan Prakakstate. The vow of brahmacharya is meant to help one completely abstain from sex indulgence in works and mind at all times, under all circumstances, and in all places. No one can perform correct yoga practice through sex indulgence. Brahmacharya is taught therefore from childhood when one has no knowledge of sex life. Children at the age of 5 are sent to the Gurukula or the place of spiritual master, and the master trained the young boys in the strict discipline of becoming brahmacharis. Without such practice, no one can make advancement in any yoga, whether it be dhyana, jnana, or bhakti. One who, however, follows the rules and regulation of married life, having a sexual relationship only with his wife, and that also under regulation, is also called a brahmachari. Such a restrained householder brahmachari may be accepted in the bhakti school, but the Gyan and Dhyan schools do not even admit householder brahmacharis. They require complete abstinence without compromise. In the Bhakti school, a household brahmachari is allowed controlled sex life because the cult of Bhakti Yoga is so powerful that one automatically loses sexual attraction, being engaged in the superior service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Vishaya vinivartante niraha rasya dehina rasa varjam rasopya asya param drishtava nivartate. Whereas others are forced to restrain themselves from sense gratification, a devotee of the Lord automatically refrains because of superior taste. Other than the devotee, no one has any information of that superior taste. Vigata, Vigata B. One cannot be fearless unless one is fully in Krishna consciousness. A conditioned soul is fearful due to his perverted memory, his forgetfulness of his eternal relationship with Krishna. The Bhagavatam says, Bhayam div- divyatya bini vesastaha sait isad apseya viparyaho yayo smriti. Krishna consciousness is only basis for fearlessness. Therefore, perfect practice is possible for a person who is Krishna conscious. And since the ultimate goal of yoga practice is to see the Lord within, a Krishna conscious person is already the best of all yogis. The principles of the yoga system mentioned herein are different from those of the popular so called yoga societies.
So then Krishna is going on to explain this process of meditation and how one has to keep a good posture. The posture is important. So he's saying the asana was important. He said go to a secluded place, a holy place, then get a proper asana. Then, he's saying you sit properly, a good posture. And what is the meditation on? That's important. Krishna is not saying that you meditate on anything, you make up any form, meditate on any form of your choice, or some light or some nothing. No, he's saying you meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. So Krishna's instructions are very clear, very specific. The goal of all yoga, of all meditation, is to see the Paramatma within the heart. And who is the Paramatma? It's Vishnu, Lord Vishnu. How does the Paramatma look? He has 4 hands. It's the four-handed form. So this is how the Paramatma looks. So we can see here that because a yogi would take thousands of years to know this, how does a Paramatma look? By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, We are getting to know, oh, Paramatma is the four-handed Vishnu form. But that is the goal of yoga. To fix the mind on Paramatma, to realize the Paramatma within the heart. So this is what Prabhupada is saying, because we may make a show, we may do some meditation or something, but then we may just end up wasting our time. So he's telling us, hey, don't waste time, because the goal is to understand Krishna, and the senses need to be controlled. One cannot do yoga with unrestricted senses. It won't work. And so the restriction, it is taught from the very young age. That's brahmacharya, the discipline is there. So it won't be, a yogi won't be able to practice if the senses are not controlled. That's the point. So what happens is, for a devotee, because his senses are engaged in Krishna's service, so automatically he's feeling pleasure. So automatically he can give up the lower pleasures. When we taste something higher, then we don't like something lower. We get the real diamond. We don't want fake diamonds. So the pure devotee, he's tasting pure bliss, pure happiness. So he's not concerned with the material enjoyment of this world. Then Vigata Bhik, Srila Prabhupada is speaking about fearlessness. We may be fearful of many different things. One may be fearful of something, but then another may be fearful of something else. Each of us is fearful, but we may not be fearful of the same thing. We may have different fears. But why is this fear? Why are we fearful? Because we have forgotten Krishna, our eternal relationship with Krishna. We've forgotten we have a loving relationship with Krishna. We are Krishna's part and parcel. So that is why we are fearful now, because we are thinking we are the body. So if we really want fearlessness, Bhagavatam is saying, if we really want fearlessness, then Bhagavatam is saying Krishna consciousness. Become Krishna conscious. The more we surrender to Krishna, the more we hear and chant, the more we are situated in Krishna consciousness, to that degree we will become fearless. The more we are away from Krishna, to that degree we are more fearful. So we can see that by practicing Krishna consciousness, we can actually become fearless. Yunjan evam sadatmanam.
Yunjan evam sadatmamam.
Yogi niyatamanasam.
Yogi niyata manasa.
Shantim nirvana paramam.
Santim nirvana paramam.
Mat samstham adhikacchate.
Mat samstham adhikacchate. Translation. Thus, practicing constant control of the body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated, attains to the kingdom of God or the abode of Krishna by cessation of material existence. The ultimate goal in practicing yoga is now clearly explained. Yoga practice is not meant for attaining any kind of material facility. It is to enable the cessation of all material existence. One who seeks an improvement in health or aspires after material perfection is no yogi, according to Bhagavad Gita. Nor does cessation of material existence entail one's entering into the void, which is only a myth. There is no void anywhere within the creation of the Lord. Rather, the cessation of material existence enables one to enter into the spiritual sky, the abode of the Lord. The abode of the Lord is also clearly described in the Bhagavad Gita as that place where there is no need of sun, moon, or electricity. All the planets in the spiritual kingdom are self illuminated like the sun in the material sky. The kingdom of God is everywhere, but the spiritual sky and the planet thereof are called Paramdhama or superior abodes. A consummate yogi who is perfect in understanding Lord Krishna, as is clearly stated herein by the Lord Himself, Mat Chitta Mat Para Mat Thanam, can attain real peace and can ultimately reach his supreme abode, Krishna Loka, known as Goloka Vrindana. In the Brahma Samhita, it is clearly stated, Goloka Iva Nivasati Akhilatma Bhuta. The Lord, although residing always in his abode called Goloka is the all-pervading Brahman and the localized Paramatma as well by dint of its superior spiritual energies. No one can reach the spiritual sky, Vaikuntha, or enter into the Lord's eternal abode, Goloka Vrindavan, without the proper understanding of Krishna and its plenary expansion, Vishnu. Therefore, a person working in Krishna consciousness is a perfect yogi because his mind is always absorbed in Krishna's activities. Savai Mana Krishna, Padar Vindayahu. In the Vedas also, Shvetapatara Upanishad, we learn Tam eva vidivati mrityam eti. One can overcome the path of birth and death only by understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. In other words, perfection of the yoga system is the attainment of freedom from material existence and not some magical jugglery or gymnastic feats to be fool innocent people.
Then Krishna is going on to say what is the goal of yoga. First he's saying you concentrate the mind on the Vishnu form of of the Paramatma seated within the heart. The goal is to go back home, back to Godhead. So Prabhupada is pointing out that, we may have certain yoga societies, but are they teaching us to go back home, back to Godhead? Because that is the goal of yoga. And here Lord Krishna is clearly saying that. So sure, we may do some yoga for health. All that is okay. Yes, we need to maintain our body, so we need to do some exercises. But that's okay. That's okay. That's another part. But we have to understand that for getting out of the material world, we have to chant the holy name. We have to hear about Krishna. That is what is recommended process in this age of Kali for us. Now, we just heard Brahmaradya Purana is saying there is no other way, no other way, no other than chanting the holy name. And then we may say, oh, but after we die, there's nothing out there. It's all void. The scriptures tell us that there's no void. Void cannot exist. In our experience, have we seen nothing? There's always something there. We have never experienced nothing because there is no void. There's no void. There's Krishna's creation here, material world, and beyond is the spiritual world, the spiritual sky, and the spiritual planets. And all the scriptures are giving us of this information. Bhagavatam is speaking so much about the material and spiritual worlds. So Krishna himself is saying in the Bhagavad Gita, in the spiritual world, there's no need of sun and moon. There's no need of electricity because it's self-effulgent. The Brahmajyoti is there. That is coming from Krishna's own body. So there is no need of artificial illumination. But yes, sun and moon are there for the sake of pastimes. For the sake of pastime, to just have that impression of time. But it's not that they're needed to light. Here, if we didn't have the sun, we won't be able to live. But we need it. So in the spiritual kingdom, there's no need like that. Mm. Then Krishna, he is so how do we understand Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan? Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is in Golok Vrindavan, and at the same time, there is this effulgence which is coming from his form, that is the Brahman, the Brahmajyoti, and he is entered into every atom of the material world, as well as into the heart of every living entity as the Paramatma. So Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, all pervading Brahman. Brahman is everywhere. The light is spreading everywhere. Even this material world is situated on the Brahmajyoti. It's just one small part of the Brahmajyoti gets covered by this Mahatattva. This is where the material creation happens. So there's nothing that is not where the Brahman is not there. It's everywhere. And so where is the Brahman come? Where is this Brahman coming from? Where is this light coming from? It's coming from Krishna's body. As we said yesterday, that it's not that it's not that first there is only light, and then from this light, Krishna is born, and then again he becomes light. No, Krishna always exists. From his form, this light is coming. In our experience, also, we see there's a light bulb. From where that light bulb, the light is coming. It's not that there is the light, and then from that light, the light bulb is created. It's never like that. It's the light bulb is there, and from there, the light is coming. The sun is there, and then the sunshine is coming from the sun. Not that the sunshine is there, and then the sunshine is creating the sun. Okay. So we need here, Prabhupada is saying, we need to have a proper understanding of Krishna and his plenary expansion, Vishnu. So proper understanding Krishna in Tattva. Krishna is saying, Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tattvataha. Tyakva deham panarjanma naiti mameti sarjana. He's saying in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Understand in truth, in tattva, the nature of my appearance and activities. And in this way, instant liberation, no need to come back to this material world. So we can understand that Krishna, his appearance, his activities, his form is transcendental. That we don't need to come here back to the material world. Shriteshvatara Upanishad is also saying the same thing. One can overcome the path of birth and death only by understanding Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So by understanding Krishna in truth, we can go back home, back to Godhead. And here Prabhupada is saying a pure devotee. A pure devotee is a perfect yogi. Why? Because yoga means to control. For the yogi means samadhi, right? That's the goal of the yogi. So what? The mind is fixed on Krishna. Here, the bhakta, his mind is always fixed on Krishna. He's doing all the activities for the pleasure of Krishna. Savai mana Krishna padara vindayo. His mind is attached to the lotus feet of Krishna. He's always thinking how to satisfy Krishna, how to please Krishna. What can I do to please Krishna? He's doing his duties for the pleasure of Krishna. Not that he's not doing anything. He's doing all his duties for the pleasure of Krishna. Nati ashantastu yogosti.
Nati ashnatatu yugoti.
Na chekantam anashnata.
Na chekantam anashnata.
Na chati swapna shilasya.
Na chati swapna shilasya.
Jagrato neva charjuna.
Jagrato Naivacha Arjuna. Translation. There is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi. O Arjuna, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough, regulation of diet and sleep is recommended herein for the yogis. Too much eating means eating more than is required to keep the body and soul together. There is no need for men to eat animals because there is an ample supply of grains, vegetables, fruits, and milk. Such simple foodstuff is considered to be in the mode of goodness, according to the Bhagavad Gita. Animal food is for the house for those in the mode of ignorance. Therefore, those who indulge in animal food, drinking, smoking, and eating food which is not first offered to Krishna will suffer sinful reactions because of eating only polluted things. Bunyajate te te agham papa ye pakanti atma karanat. Anyone who eats for sense pleasure or cooks for himself, not offering his food to Krishna, eats only sin. One who eats sin and eats more than is allotted to him cannot execute perfect yoga. It is best that one eat only the remnants of food stuff offered to Krishna. A person in Krishna consciousness does not eat anything which is not first offered to Krishna. Therefore, only the Krishna conscious person can attain perfection in yoga practice. Nor can one who artificially abstains from eating, manufacturing his own personal process of fasting, practice yoga. The Krishna conscious person observes fasting as it is recommended in the scriptures. He does not fast or eat more than is required, and he is thus competent to perform yoga practice. One who eats more than required will dream very much while sleeping, and he must consequently sleep more than is required. One should not sleep more than 6 hours daily. One who sleeps more than 6 hours out of 24 is certainly influenced by the mode of ignorance. A person in the mode of ignorance is lazy and prone to sleep a great deal. Such a person cannot perform yoga.
So Krishna is also saying, don't eat too much, don't eat too little, don't sleep too much, don't sleep too little. It means to have a balanced life. Balanced life so that the yogi can do the practice of yoga. Same for the devotee. Same goes for devotee. Have a balanced life. Your Prabhupada is saying not to eat um, animals, non-vegetarian food. The scriptures tell us not to eat uh, animals because there's great sin in there. And Krishna says that one who cooks for his own pleasure is verily eating only sin. So we are recommended that first we offer whatever we eat to Krishna, and then we eat. And in this way it becomes prasad. And so there is no sin in that food. Even if vegetarian food, of course Krishna eats only vegetarian food. Krishna does not eat non-vegetarian food. So Krishna himself is saying in the third chapter, first you offer food offered first as sacrifice to Lord Vishnu. So first offer to Krishna and then eat. Mm. And then fasting, there are recommendations for the devotees, fasting on Ekadashi, fasting on Janmashtami. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Madhav Tithi Bhakti Janani. When we are observing fasting on the special days, like appearance of Lord Krishna, Lord Ramachandra, Ekadashi, then that give rise to devotion in our heart. So we don't do unnecessary fasting also. It's not recommended. But okay, Ekadashi comes once in 2 weeks, fasting on that day. Whenever the appearance days of the Lord are there. So no need for unnecessary uh, deprivation also. This is what Krishna is saying. Do what is regulated, sleep regulated. Prabhupada is mentioning 6 hours. Some of us may feel we need more than 6 hours. Otherwise, we are falling sick. So we need to find our own balance. How much do we need to eat and sleep so that we can do our duties well, we can engage in hearing and chanting. It's a balance we need to find, because what may be too much for food for one person may be too little for another. So we need to find our own balance, a practical balance, so that we can be healthy to hear and chant, to do our duties, all for the pleasure of Krishna. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yuktahara viharasya.
युक्ताहार विहारस्य
Yukta chestasya karmasu.
युक्तचेतस्य कर्मसु
Yukta swapna avabodhasya.
युक्तस्वप्नवबोधस्य
Yogo bhavati dukhaha.
योगो भवति दुःखः. Translation: He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. Extravagance in the matter of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, which are demands of the body, can block advancement in the practice of yoga. As far as eating is concerned, it can be regulated only when one is practiced to take and accept prasadam, sanctified food. Lord Krishna is offered of according to the Bhagavad Gita, vegetables, flowers, fruits, grain, milk, etc. In this way, a person in Krishna consciousness becomes automatically trained not to accept food not meant for human consumption or not in the category of goodness. As far as sleeping is concerned, a Krishna conscious person is always alert in the discharge of his duty in Krishna consciousness, and therefore any unnecessary time spent sleeping is considered a great loss. Avyartha kalatvam. A Krishna conscious person cannot bear to pass a minute of his life without being engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, his sleeping is kept to a minimum. His ideal in this respect is Srila Rupa Goswami, who was always engaged in the service of Krishna and who could not sleep more than 2 hours a day, and sometimes not even that. Thakura Haridasa would not even accept prasadam, nor even sleep for a moment without finishing his daily routine of chanting with his beads 300,000 names. As far as work is concerned, Krishna conscious person does not do anything which is not connected with Krishna's interest, and thus his work is always regulated and is untainted by sense gratification. Since there's no question of sense gratification, there's no material leisure for a person in Krishna consciousness. And because he is regulated in all his work, speech, sleep, wakefulness, and all other bodily activities, there is no material misery for him.
So then Krishna is saying, okay, why am I telling you to regulate your habit? Why am I telling you don't eat too much, don't eat too little, don't sleep too much, don't sleep too little? So that you don't get these miseries of material life, regulated of habit. So Krishna Prabhupada here is he's telling us that the pure devotee, his consciousness is just he's working for pleasing Krishna. Everything he's doing is pleasing for he is doing for Krishna's pleasure. So of course here Krishna, Prabhupada is mentioning that 926 Krishna says Pashpam Phalam Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. That I accept water, leaf, root, flower with love and devotion. So devotee is always offering his food to Krishna before he accepts it. And he has love for Krishna. And like when we love someone, when we are eating, we also offer them, oh, hey, you want to try this? So the devotee loves Krishna. He says, Krishna, you eat first, and then I will eat. And then he doesn't want to sleep too much. Why? Because he wants to be with Krishna. He wants to work for Krishna. He wants to hear more, chant more, do all his duties for Krishna's pleasure. So that's why he doesn't. So Prabhupada is giving the example of Rup Goswami and Haridas Thakur. Of course, we have to understand that we cannot imitate such great personalities. These are like great, great personalities, confidential devotees of the Lord. They were barely eating and sleeping. And if we try to imitate them, we may find ourselves in the hospital. So we may not be even able to do what we are doing. So we need to find our own balance, what works for us at a practical level, so that we can be productive, so that we can engage in Krishna consciousness, that we can hear and chant and do all our duties for the pleasure of Krishna. And in this way, we will be able to not get affected by the material miseries. Yeah, so we have to like practically find our own balance. We may look at another devotee and say, oh, they are not eating at all, and I'm here eating so much, but we have to look at our own bodies. Whatever is needed to keep the body healthy so that we can engage in Krishna's service. Yada viniyatam chittam.
Yada viniyatam chittam.
Atmani eva vatisthate.
Atmani eva vatisthate.
Nispraha sarva kamebhyo.
Nispraha sarva kamebhyo.
Yukta iti uchyate tada.
Yukta iti uchyate tada. Translation. When the yogi, by practice of yoga, disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desires, he is said to be well established in yoga. The activities of the yogi are distinguished from those of an ordinary person by his characteristic cessation from all kinds of material desires, of which sex is the chief. A perfect yogi is so well disciplined in the activities of the mind that he can no longer be disturbed by any kind of material desire. This perfection stage can automatically be attained by a person in Krishna consciousness as stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Savai Manha Krishna Paddar Vindyayor Vakamsi Vaikunta Gunano Varnane Karao Hare Mandira Marja Jana Distu Shrutim Chakare Juta Sat Kathodaya Mukunda Lingalaya Darshane Drashu Tadbhratya Gatra Sparse Naga Sangamam Granam Chatat Pada Saruja Saurabhe Srimad Tulsaya Rasanam Tadarpite Padau Hare Kshetra Padanusarpane Siro Rishikesha Padat Vivandane Kamam Cha Dasya Natu Kama Kamyaya Yathotma Shloka Janatraya Rati. King Ambarisa first of all engaged in his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Then one after another he engaged his words in describing the transcendental qualities of the Lord, his hands in mopping the temple of the Lord, his ears in hearing the activities of the Lord, his eyes in seeing the transcendental forms of the Lord, his body in touching the bodies of the devotees, his sense of smell in smelling the scent of the lotus flowers offered to the Lord, his tongue in tasting the tulasi leaf offered at the lotus feet of the Lord, his legs in going to places of pilgrimage and the temple of the Lord, his head in offering obeisances unto the Lord, and his desires in executing the mission of the Lord. All these transcendental activities are quite befitting a pure devotee. This transcendental state may be inexpressible subjectively by the followers of the impersonalist path, but it becomes very easy and practical for a person in Krishna consciousness, as is apparent in the above description of the engagements of Maharaja Ambarisha. Unless the mind is fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord by constant remembrance, such transcendental engagements are not practical. In the devotional service of the Lord, therefore, these prescribed activities are called archana or engaging all the senses in the service of the Lord. The senses and the mind require engagements. Simple abnegation is not practical. Therefore, for people in general, especially those who are not in the renounced order of life, transcendental engagement of the senses and the mind, as described above, is a perfect process for transcendental achievement, which is called yukta in the Bhagavad Gita.
Then Krishna is saying, the yogi, who's one who's well established in yoga. He has no more material desires. He's liberated. He is understood, part and parcel of Krishna, situated in transcendence. So he's liberated already. He's understood, I'm not the body, part and parcel of Krishna. And then he is engaging in devotional service. Engaging in devotional service. So then so no more material desire. We have all kinds of material desires. What to do? Bhagavatam is giving us the example of Maharaj Ambarish. So what did he do? First, he engaged his mind at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. First, he's thinking of Krishna. Then all other senses, he's engaging in Krishna's service. The mind is called the king of the senses. So he's first engaging his mind. Like when the child is born, the mother, she loves the child. All the time she's thinking of the child. She is doing all her activities, keeping the child in mind. Oh, my son or my daughter is going to get up at this time. Let me finish these things. Let me do this. Let me do that. So all the time, her consciousness is, oh, how can I make my child happy, do everything else, and so I can be there for my child. So she loves the child. Or even the lover and beloved, thinking of each other, oh, let me do everything so my beloved is going to be very happy. So here, the pure devotee loves Krishna. He loves Krishna. That's why he's thinking of Krishna all the time. Whatever we love, we are thinking of that in our mind. So the pure devotee loves Krishna. So he's thinking of Krishna. And then he is speaking about Krishna, glorifying Krishna, hearing about Krishna, cleaning Krishna's temple, seeing the beautiful deity of Krishna, being with the devotees, offering the flowers and incense and tulsi, going to places of pilgrimage, offering obeisances to the Lord. So it's not that the pure devotee is not doing anything. He's doing all his duties. And he's a king. King Ambarish. It's not that he's given up his kingly duties. No, he's doing all his duties. And he's a pure devotee. He's doing his duties for the pleasure of Krishna. So this is what Krishna is telling us. Come to this point. He's telling Arjuna also in Bhagavad Gita that do your duties, do your fighting, but for my pleasure. Krishna is not telling Arjuna you renounce. He's saying you do everything you need to do, but don't get attached to the result. The result may be whatever it may be, but do it for my satisfaction. So here King Ambarish, he is a great example of complete surrender to Krishna. He's a king. He's not a renounced person. It's not that he's sitting in the forest and doing nothing. He has so many kingly duties to do, We may be so busy doing other things, but imagine a king. He has to take care of so many more things. And yet, because he's doing everything in Krishna consciousness, he's fixed his mind on Krishna. He's doing everything for Krishna's satisfaction. And so his senses are all engaged in serving Krishna and pleasing Krishna. And these are practical engagements. Apart from doing his kingly duties, how he's fixing his senses on Krishna's service, hearing about Krishna, chanting Krishna's names, remembering Krishna. So here, that's what Prabhupada is saying. Simple abnegation is not practical. It's not practical for us to give up all activities. We can't do that. but we can work for Krishna's pleasure, engage in Krishna's pleasure. That is the perfect process, which is called Yukta in Bhagavad Gita, working for the pleasure of Krishna. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we can do this. This is a small one. Yatha Deepo Nivatastho
Yatha Deepo Nivatatsto
Nengate Sopama Smrita
Nengate Sopama Prita
Yogino Yata Chittasya
Yogino Yata Chittasya
Yunjato Yogamatmana.
Yungato Yunjato Yogam Atmana. Translation: as a lamp in a windlit place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendent self. A truly Krishna conscious person, always absorbed in transcendence, in constant undisturbed meditation on his worshipable Lord, is as steady as a lamp in a windless place.
So then now Krishna is saying, because he's already liberated, he's saying how the yogi, how he fixed his mind on Krishna. So it means the pure devotee. The pure devotee, he's fixed his mind on Krishna. All his activities are for Krishna's pleasure. And so then he never wavers. He never comes back to the bodily platform. He's reestablished his relationship with Krishna. So he's always thinking of Krishna. As we just gave the example, the mother, she's always thinking of the child. She loves the baby all the time. She's thinking. She cannot unthink of that now because she loves the child. Oh, let me do this quickly so I can make my child happy. Or the beloved and the lover and the beloved. The lover is always thinking of the beloved. Yeah, the pure devotee is always thinking of the Lord. And this is the platform of liberation. We can see by hearing and chanting, hearing and chanting, we can be situated in this position. Wherever, that's why Lord Chaitanya says, wherever we are, doesn't matter, whatever we are doing, doesn't matter. Just hear and chant. Let's stop here for today because this is a longer verse and we won't have time to go through it. Is that okay? Are there any questions, comments, anything to add?
Um,
Oh, thank you so
Nothing.
much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta